Today is Tuesday, October 28th. I'm Fernando Bosois, and here's what's making news in this Halloween week. Hurricane Melissa is set to hit Jamaica today as a Category 5 storm. Forecasters say the storm is expected to slice diagonally across the island. It will enter near St. Elizabeth Parish in the south and exit around St. Anne Parish in the north. Jamaica Prime Minister Andrew Holness says there's no infrastructure in the region that can withstand a Category 5 storm. Holness said the focus now will be on the speed of recovery. This is the strongest lash the island would experience since record-keeping began 174 years ago. We all know that in Toronto we have two seasons, winter and construction. While after more than a year of gridlock and construction woes, drivers in Toronto can expect an easier commute. All 6 lanes of the Gardiner Expressway between Dufferin Street and Strachan Avenue reopened on Monday morning. That's 18 months ahead of schedule. Despite the early turnaround, work persists on the western parts of the expressway between Highway 427 and the Humber River. Premier Doug Ford says he has no regrets about Ontario's anti-tariff advertisement that went air on American television last week. The $75 million campaign that featured the voice of former President Ronald Reagan was paused at the request of Prime Minister Mark Carney on Monday. Ford called the ad the best that ever ran and claimed to be the most successful ad in the history of North America. Carney says the trade talks with the U.S. had been making progress until U.S. President Donald Trump suddenly ended negotiations on Thursday after Ontario's anti-tariff ad. The Prime Minister is in the middle of his first official visit to Asia, where he's pitching Canada as a reliable trading partner for countries in the Southeast Asia. Carney is traveling to Singapore today before ending the trip at the APEC Forum in South Korea. In Alberta, the parents of about 750,000 students can expect to send their children back to school as soon as Wednesday. The provincial government has passed legislation to bring an end to a contract dispute that kept teachers out of school since October 6. Bill 2, or the Back to School Act, was passed this morning after Premier Danielle Smith introduced the legislation the day before. The legislation forces striking teachers back to work as early as Wednesday by imposing a collective agreement. It also invokes the notwithstanding clause to shield it from court challenges for the duration of the 4-year deal. The leader of the official opposition NDP, Naheed Nenshi, said Bill 2 is unconstitutional. Bill 2 puts the terms of a tentative agreement rejected by nearly 90% of Alberta teachers last month into legislation. Smith's governing United Conservative Party has 47 of the 87 seats in the Alberta legislature. China and the United States have agreed to a framework trade deal before a meeting between the U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping. The meeting is set to happen on Thursday on the sidelines of the annual Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum. This is the first meeting between the U.S. and China in Trump's second term. This deal comes in the middle of a trade war that has seen the two countries levy tariffs higher than 100%. This is it for news. Now let's go to Grant as he breaks down the Game 4 of the World Series between your Toronto Blue Jays and the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Thanks, Fernando. Shohei Ohtani is set to take the mound for the Dodgers tonight for Game 4 of the World Series, facing off against Shane Bieber. Ohtani set a new postseason record last night by reaching base 9 times, on top of hitting 2 home runs in the 18-inning duel between the Jays and the Dodgers, which was eventually ended by a walk-off homer from Freddie Freeman after almost 7 hours of baseball. It looks like the Blue Jays will have to try and rally back tonight without the bat of George Springer, who left last night's game in the 7th inning with back discomfort and is currently awaiting MRI results. The Toronto Maple Leafs are also back in action tonight and will look to jumpstart their season after a sluggish opening 9 games. The Leafs take on the Calgary Flames at Scotiabank Arena tonight, who have won just 2 games this season, before heading to Columbus tomorrow night to take on the Blue Jackets. Although it's still early, the Leafs are currently sat in 6th place in the Atlantic Division, and the ever-expectant Leafs fans will be hoping they can start to climb the standings soon. Here at Humber, the men's soccer team were defeated 2-0 in the OCAA gold medal match against Conestoga on Sunday. Goals in either half from the Condors were enough to clinch them the title in Algonquin. However, the Hawks have still earned their place at the national championship with their silver medal. The women's soccer team also unfortunately suffered defeat on Sunday, conceding a penalty in extra time and ultimately losing 2-1 to the Seneca Sting in their OCAA bronze medal match. The men's and women's volleyball teams both head into their home openers this weekend, the men facing Redeemer and the women's playing against the Sioux College Cougars on Saturday. Head coach of the men's teams, Wayne Wilkins, is headed into his 30th season as volleyball head coach and will be hoping to claim a home opener win to celebrate. That's all for this week. See you next time.